Next guest was the UN's Emergency Relief Manager spokesman and UN OCHA Deputy Country Director from 2012 to 2016 in Ethiopia. He's now with Refugees International. I'd like to bring in David Del Conte. He's joining us now via Skype. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. I want to touch on the UN investigation, saying that both sides are to blame for atrocities against civilians. What do you make of the findings?
Well, thank you for having me. I thought that it's a good starting point. Her statement really focused on the brutality of the conflict, and particularly brutality targeting innocent civilians, the bevy of human rights abuses. And yes, it does need to reference by all parties to the conflict. Ultimately, the proper independent investigation that holds all responsible to account is what I focused on in her statement and the report itself.
So, David, if we look at the situation right now and we see that millions of people are experiencing famine or on the brink of famine, where you're seeing hunger, and the fact that food has been used as a tool, what do you make of this and the fact that UN and other NGO, other agencies have been unable and have been vocal about the fact that they cannot get food to Tigrayans?
That's correct. Only a fraction of those who are in need in Tigray are receiving assistance. The UN and NGOs are something around 50% capacity from what they were just a few months ago due to a combination of new bureaucratic procedures introduced by the government in September, continued conflict and aerial bombardments, and the blockade, which has now been in effect for more than 4 months, severely limiting what the UN and the NGOs can do to provide assistance to those in need. The same would occur in Amhara, given the population density of that regional state. Displacement is likely to be over 1 million at this point. Food has not reached them either. So the expansion of conflict is expanding the need, and the UN and the NGOs aren't able to deliver what they could because of the blockade and the conflict.
We've also seen UN officials that have been thrown out of the country on what the government says because of meddling. We've also seen major concerns about what this could possibly mean down the line for getting humanitarian aid to the people that need it most. What message is the Ethiopian government sending to the UN?
It's an explicit threat to the UN and the NGOs. Those NGOs and UN officials who were kicked out of the country were doing their jobs, speaking on humanitarian issues, speaking up about their concerns. None of this is meddling. All of this is basic humanitarian work. So the threat to the UN and the NGOs is explicit and must be addressed by the Security Council and the Secretary General.
What do you think of the way the UN has been handling the situation in Ethiopia? I know that you were part of the relief team until 2016. Do you think that more could have been done?
I think for those who are operational agencies on the ground, it's a rock and a hard place. The threat of suspending your program or being expelled from the country means that you have to balance the needs of the population and the work that you're doing with a need for speaking up and speaking out about what's occurring in country. So that's a challenge that they face. And one of the reasons why Refugees International launched this campaign was to get the humanitarian voice out there. As a non-operational advocacy organization, we can say those things. But if you are a UN or an NGO just trying to get the work done, it's very, very difficult decision to make. I think more can and should be done to speak about the humanitarian crisis that is continuously unfolding. We first heard of famine-related deaths on the 25th of January of this year.
Yeah. So, David, why did you leave? And give me a sense of what you experienced as well on the ground in Ethiopia.
When I was in Ethiopia, it was hallmarked by 2 different droughts, one in the south and then one in the north of the country. So a lot of our work was done responding to consistent chronic need. And the challenge of that is that it's done in a development framework. We're supporting and building the government systems and structures as it was not an active conflict. The difference between then and now is quite dramatic. The the way in which humanitarians work during times of conflict is different during times of peace. We need to be independent. We need to be neutral. We need to be based on the core tenets of relief work. That has posed a challenge to the UN and NGOs, and we're working on that messaging to have it understood throughout, top to bottom, how we work in moments of conflict. So it's quite a bit different. Yeah. I left the UN in Ethiopia because it was my time. I'd been there for more than 5 years, and that's a good rotation moment.
So David, looking at where we should be headed from here, we know that the country's in a state of emergency, and as our reporter said, that this means, you can have police taking up arms, you can have the army is deployed. That means you can shut down the media. The repercussions are quite enormous. Does this worry you? What do you think this means for Tigrayans and for Ethiopian people in the next few months?
I think the current situation is very worrisome. The ability for the TDF to not only defend their territory, but expand the conflict into Afar and Amhara, the ability to take the key strategic villages of Dessie and Kambolcha and threaten Addis Ababa requires concerted international pressure to get the TDF back into Tigray, but also Abiy, the Prime Minister Abiy, and his supporters in Eritrea and the Amhara militia must come to the table as well.
Do you support UN sanctions? Do you think that is the right route to take?
I support any and all efforts that would bring this conflict to a quick and speedy end and force the parties to enter into negotiated settlement. For the people of Tigray who are experiencing famine right now, for the people of Amhara who could experience that tomorrow, this is something that is needless and unnecessary. So for the sake of the people of Ethiopia, any and all efforts to end.
Thank you, David. Good to have you on the show. Much appreciated for your insights. All right.